Deep inside a hidden military facility during World War II, human beings were used in experiments the world was never meant to see. There were no patients, no volunteers, only prisoners, stripped of identity and reduced to something they called logs. This was Unit 731, and what happened there remains one of the darkest biological warfare programs in human history. At the center of it all was Shiro Ishii, a high-ranking officer in the Imperial Japanese Army who oversaw a secret complex known as Pingfang in occupied Manchuria. Officially, it was presented as a medical research facility. In reality, it functioned as a place where the boundaries of science, war, and morality were completely erased. Prisoners were dehumanized from the moment they arrived. Calling them logs was not just language, it was a system, a way to remove identity, empathy, and hesitation. Once reduced to objects, anything could be justified. Inside the facility, medical science was turned into something unrecognizable. Victims were subjected to vivisection without anesthesia, performed while they were still alive, so researchers could observe how organs failed in real time under controlled conditions. In other sections, prisoners were exposed to extreme cold and frostbite experiments, their limbs frozen solid and then thawed again to study how tissue broke down. Pressure chambers were used to simulate high-altitude conditions until the human body could no longer survive the internal strain. These were not random acts of cruelty, they were systematic procedures designed to extract data from human suffering. As the program expanded, it shifted beyond individual experimentation. Unit 731 developed large-scale biological methods, including breeding and infecting fleas with deadly diseases to act as carriers. Allegedly, pathogen-filled devices were tested in field operations, exposing civilian populations to outbreaks in order to measure how quickly infection could spread under real-world conditions. Entire regions became part of an uncontrolled laboratory where disease itself became a weapon. As World War II neared its end and Soviet forces advanced into Manchuria in 1945, the facility was rapidly dismantled. Evidence was destroyed, buildings were burned, and many of those involved disappeared or were silenced. What followed is still debated, but widely reported accounts suggest that some members of Unit 731 provided experimental data in exchange for immunity from prosecution. As a result, the full extent of what happened was never formally exposed in international trials. Instead, much of the truth was buried. Today, Unit 731 remains one of the most controversial and disturbing subjects in modern history. Some acknowledge its existence in detail, while others have historically minimized or denied its scale. But the question it leaves behind is unavoidable. What happens when science is stripped of morality, when human life becomes data instead of dignity? The legacy of Unit 731 is not just a record of the past, it is a warning about the future, because history does not repeat itself all at once. It returns quietly when it is forgotten.